lovers, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my January wrap up. I read 13 books this month, or last month. 13 books. And I literally just made a video and I was like, oh, I probably won't read 13 books, but just to give myself extra room. And then I ended up reading 13 books. And I didn't even think I was reading that much. I thought I was on book 10 and it was like, oh no, this is book 13. And I was like, oh, okay. Gotcha. But I had an amazing reading month, and I already found some 5-star reads for y'all, so we're just gonna go ahead and get right on into it. So I started off the year reading Bound by a Gangsta's Love 2 by Miss J, and this book, I didn't like it as much as I was hoping to, but I still enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. This is a continuation of Bound by a Gangsta's Love. The first book was basically about this girl, and she was like an esthetician, and her man was doing her so dirty. He was doing her so dirty, but he was in them streets. And then she goes, because he's like, oh, I scheduled you a surgery so you can get your body done because you look a mess, basically. And she was like really sad about it, but she went. She's like, whatever, like, I just want to make my man happy. And she went, and then she meets a new man. And yeah, that was the first book. And then the second book continued off of how the first book ended, and it was crazy, but it was just like a little all over the place, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first one, but it was still really good. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. After I finished Bound by a Gangsta's Love 2, I went straight into The Game's God's Play by Abigail Owen, and I had so much fun reading this book. In this book, the gods have a challenge every 100 years, and they each choose a human to play for them. Not really play, more like fight to the death, but whatever. They choose a human to play for them, and whichever human wins for the god, and the god is the ruler for that 100 years, and then they have the game again. And this girl gets chosen by one of the gods to be his whatever, to play for him, basically. And it's crazy. I did enjoy the book overall. I felt like I did predict a good amount of stuff in the book, so it wasn't as exciting to read when you can like tell what's gonna happen next, but it was still a good read, and I gave it 3.75 out of 5 stars because it was not fully a 3, but it wasn't a 4 yet. The next book I read in the month of January was Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Y'all, I am so happy I picked this book up. It was so good. Jax the Prince of Hearts, oh my gosh. Yeah, I had so much fun reading this book. It's basically about this girl named Evangeline, and she has had her heart broken. Her man is freaking getting married to her stepsister. Crazy, right? And she thinks that he's been cursed, and that's why he's getting married to her. So she goes to the Prince of Hearts and prays to him and is like, please stop this wedding. And he does, but it doesn't go how she expected it to go. And now she owes him some debts, basically. And this book was just so good. It was so fun. It went by so fast. I read this for a 24-hour reading challenge, so I did read it in like one sitting. But if I did not read it for that challenge, I still would have read this book in one sitting. It was addicting. I was having so much fun and trying to figure out what was going to happen next and how it was going to end. This was such a fun read. If you don't like YA and you feel like, oh, it's too young for you, I feel like you would still really enjoy this book because it's just so fun and fast-paced. It goes by so fast. If you want a fun, whimsical, fairy tale-esque read, then definitely pick up this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. That same video that I read, Once Upon a Broken Heart, I also read Light Lark by Alex Astor. This is the first book in a series, and I had a good time while reading this. It did start off really slow. It took me a minute to get into this book. I think I was on page like 150 when I started to feel like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Because the first 150 pages, I could care less, if I'm being honest. I could care less. I didn't want to pick the book up. I was like, I don't care. But then I got to page like 150 and I was like, oh, we're getting somewhere. And then into 200, I was like, oh. And I couldn't stop. It was addicting. And then the ending was like no other. So I did overall enjoy my time reading this book, but it is a slower pickup than the other books. This book follows Isla, and she is the ruler of the Isling Owl. There's 6 owls in this world, and they each have a ruler, and they were cursed years and years ago. Every 100 years they come to the owl and they are in this centennial, and they're basically just trying to find out the cure to this curse and trying to break the curse, basically. And yeah, it gets real interesting. Just know going into this book though, it is slow, at least for me, and I know some other people felt the same way, that it was slow to get into. So don't expect no fast boom boom boom, and don't expect like the trials. People were saying, oh, there's trials. It's not that type of trials. because I was thinking, oh, Hunger Games, like, oh, we're going crazy. No, it's not that type of trials at all. So don't expect that either. It's very cutesy, very demure trials. And I gave this book a 3.75 out of 5 stars. So the last book I read in my 24-hour challenge video was Powerless by Elsie Silver. And y'all, Jasper, it's always the quiet ones. It's always the quiet ones. This book is the 3rd book in the Chestnut Spring series, and it follows Jasper and Sloane. Jasper is like, he's their brother. He's just like their adopted brother, basically. Like, he started living with them when he was younger, and they all just grew up together. And so he's one of the Eaton brothers, basically. And Sloane is their cousin. So, but it's not like that, y'all. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. They did not grow up together in that way. So don't get it twisted. But it is so good. It's so good. The man that Jasper is in this book, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, I enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like this is my I feel like this might be my favorite so far. Either this or Heartless. I really liked Heartless though, because Cade is something else. But Willa is so funny in Heartless. But then I feel like I related to Sloane a lot in this book. So I feel like they're kind of neck and neck right now. But we'll see. I'm going to keep reading the series and we'll see my full ranking once I finish. I read these next 3 books back to back because I was addicted and they were so freaking good. I could not put them down. So the first one is Reign of Shadows and Endings. And then we have Storm of Secrets and Sorrow. And the last one is Tempest of Wrath and Vengeance. And these are all by Melissa K. Rotrich. I hope I said that right. But y'all, these books, this series, this is the Legacy series. I know these are big boys. These are big boys. But this series is so good. I cannot wait to go back and reread these books and annotate them because I was addicted. I did not think I was gonna love it as much as I did, but I could not put these books down. I was literally up at 1 o'clock in the morning reading these books. And if you know me, you know I go to sleep at like 8 o'clock. I'm asleep by 9. So me being up at 1 o'clock in the morning reading a book means it's a good book. And this was a good book. It was addicting. I cannot put it down. And it gets better each book. Like this first book was so good, but then you have this book and it was and then this book, the ending, give me book 4. Let's fast forward to August. Let me get book 4 so I can know how this series is going to end because these books go crazy. This is the first book in the series and it follows this girl named Tessalyn and she is a fae in this world. And you probably think like, oh, fae, that's cool. She's a fae, like period. No, baby. In this world, the fae are bottom of the barrel peasants. They're below the mortals in this world. Crazy concept, but that's how it is in this world. The people that are at the top are the legacies and they're descendants from gods, and so they think they're them people, and the fae are basically their servants. So the top of the top legacies, the next in line, basically the rulers, get to choose a fae to bind to them, and they basically, the fae has to do whatever they say. They can read their mind, they can feel their emotions, and they're basically their slave. And the legacy will use the fae's power, not use their power necessarily, but just like take from their power so that theirs don't get depleted. So Tessalyn does not want to be a source. She does not want to be binded to none of these legacies, but sadly for her, she does get binded and she becomes a source to somebody in this book. And let's just start. That's where it starts. And that's after that, you're just like, what's going to go on? What's going to happen? And it's so addicting. That's all I can really say. It's a bit dark. It's like a little dark though. I don't feel like this series is that dark, but I think it's considered a dark romantasy. But it's so good. It is so good. So if you haven't read it yet, definitely pick it up. But when I was reading these books, I did not know what to rate them. I could not figure out what I wanted to rate these. And so I just ended up giving them all 5 stars because I read these books back to back to back. I could not even remember how I felt about the book that I like, the first book or the second book, because I was like, how did it even end? I don't even know how it ended because I was going from one book to the next one immediately. Like I literally just picked up the next book and started. So I just gave them all 5 stars because I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I love Axel. Oh my God. I love Axel. Oh my God, that's my baby. That's my baby. I love him so bad. And yeah, 5 stars for the series as a whole. I'm gonna just rate it as a series. It's a 5-star series for me. It's perfect for me. It's perfect for me. And I love it. So that's the Legacy series. So after I finished Tempest of Wrath and Vengeance, I needed another book to get in that I knew I was gonna like because I was obsessed with that and I read them back to back. and nothing was comparing. Like, I was starting to slump out. So I picked up The Ballad of Never After, and y'all, this book was so good. This book was so good. This is a continuation of Once Upon a Broken Heart, and Jax, this was so good. I couldn't put it down. It was really good. I didn't want to put it down. I was just reading. But it didn't give me that 5-star feeling. So I gave it a 4.75 because it was so close. It was almost there, but it just didn't give me that feeling. I wasn't obsessed, but it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. I love Jax, and that's all this book told me. And so after I finished this book and how this book ended, I was like, oh, I have to immediately pick up A Curse for True Love. But they only had it out in hardcover, not paperback, and the other books are in paperback. So I got it on my Kindle, and I read it on my Kindle, and y'all, I was disappointed. I was mad because the first book was a 4-star, and then you have this second book and it was a 4.75, and the way this book ended, you're like, I need the next one. So you read the next one, and it was just pissing me off. You got multiple point of views in that book, which was nice because it was like, okay, we're not just in Evangeline's head, like we're in other people's head too. But I could care less about one of them point of views, baby. I could care less. I was like, give me my man, give me him now. And I wasn't getting him. And so it made me mad. I didn't love, the story kind of dragged a bit. Like, something that needed to happen sooner happened like 70% into the book or 50% into the book. And I was like, this is crazy. It was dragging. I didn't want to pick the book up because I was like, I'm not liking this. But I finished it, and it wasn't horrible. It was just disappointing compared to the other two books. I ended up giving A Curse for True Love 3.5 out of 5 stars, which is still good. But it compared to the 4 stars in the other books, like, I was a little disappointed. After I was disappointed by A Curse for True Love, one of my anticipated releases came out, and that is Onyx Storm. Oh my God, yeah. I'm about to tear up because I'm just thinking about Xaden. I love Xaden Ryerson so bad. If this book taught me anything, it's that I have an unhealthy obsession with Xaden Ryerson. That man, my man. Oh my gosh. I love this book. It was so good. Some people didn't enjoy it as much, but I ate this up. I will say the first 6 chapters, I was like, what is going on? I can't remember anything from the other 2 books. What is going on? I don't remember half these names. I don't know any of these places. I'm so confused, but I just kept reading because I was like, it's gonna make sense. And then it started to make sense. And I was like, okay, we're getting into something. And then Xaden was being Xaden. It was just perfect. And everything was perfect. Everything was too perfect. But yeah, I don't want to spoil this book for anybody who hasn't read it yet, obviously, but it was so good. I really personally enjoyed it so much. I love Xaden. I love Riddick. He is freaking hilarious. Hilarious. The ending, though, the ending, I can't. This book took me on a whirlwind of emotions. It took me on a roller coaster. I was on a roller coaster, but I enjoyed it. I love roller coasters, so it wasn't a bad thing. But yeah, I need the next book. So after I finished this book, I was debating a little bit, like, is this a 5-star dime? Do you feel like this is really a 5-star, or is Xaden a 5-star? And like, obviously Xaden is a 5-star, but the book itself, I'm gonna give it a 4.75. I have thought about this since I finished the book like a week ago, and I have not been able to sit on my rating. I might change it to a 5. We'll see. I have not stopped thinking about Xaden though, so that's why I'm like, do I give the book 5 stars? Because I can't stop thinking about Xaden. But it's Xaden, it's a character. But then I also think about Riddick, and I laugh because he's hilarious. Like, I didn't hate any of the characters in this book. Iron Flame, my God, Violet was pissing me off. But in this book, I was like, oh, that's my girl. But yeah, so I don't know if this is a 5-star. I feel like when it's a 5-star, but I feel like 5-star vibes from Xaden, so I don't know. But I love this book so much. It's either a 4.75 or a 5. I'm not sure yet, but I ate it up. And it's a continuation of a series, so I obviously will not tell y'all what it's about because this is the 3rd book. Like, I can't say much at all other than that I love it. After Onyx Storm, your girl was slumping bad. I was slumping bad. I picked up The Favorites by Lane Fargo, which was one of my anticipated releases for 2025, and it was good, but I just could not get into it because I was just thinking about Xaden the whole time. So I had to put that book down. I read like 80 pages of it and then had to put it down because I was like, I don't want to waste my time reading this. Like, I want to give this book the time it deserves because I know I'm going to eat it up, but I can't right now because all I can think about is Xaden. So then I'm like, what can I read? What can I read? What can I read? I bought this book called Knights of Obedience on my Kindle, and I was talking to somebody and they were telling me that they really enjoyed the book. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll read that. Like, it's supposed to be fast paced. It's a shorter fantasy. I'll just read it and see if it helps me get out of this little Zayden funk. And y'all, that book was crazy. I did not expect that book to go the way that it went at all. At all. I was not expecting it. I didn't know it was like a darkish fantasy, so I was confused. The book follows this girl and she's sent to this kingdom. Her parents sent her off to this kingdom because they married her off. They're like, you need to help us. You need to help us in our territory. So you're gonna go to this kingdom and you're gonna marry this king so that you can be a queen and we can get some money. So they sent her off. They're like, you're getting married. This is arranged. There you go, Pookie. And she gets there and she's like, oh, this is like not as bad. Like, I don't want an arranged marriage, but like I will make the best of it. And then the king's brother is like, he hates her. He hates her. She's like, what's going on? I don't know why he hates me. And stuff breaks loose. I don't want to talk about that because that's kind of far into the book. So I won't say too much other than that. I'm going to just stop there because everything else happens a little further into the book. And I don't want y'all to be bored if y'all do read this book. But the first couple chapters, I was bored. Your girl was bored. Like, I knew some stuff was going to happen. After the stuff that I knew was going to happen happened, I didn't expect anything after that. It was crazy. But yeah, the first couple chapters, your girl was bored. I was like, is this ever going to get better? I'm tapping my Kindle like, come on. Next page, I guess. And it did get better. It got better, but it was a little... Look up trigger warnings. Look up trigger warnings because if you... Yeah, look up trigger warnings because it's not for everybody at all. And the book overall though was decent. I wasn't obsessed with it, but it was like I will potentially read the next book because of how the first book ended. I want to know what's going to happen and like how they're going to resolve the issues that happened in the first book. But it's not anything crazy that's like you have to read this book right now, at least in my opinion. But it is spicy. So if you want something that's spicy, and look up the trigger warnings first though. But if you want something that's spicy and a little dark, then read Knights of Obedience. You might like it. And I gave that book 3.5 stars. The last book that I read in the month of January was Rhythms Blues by Kimberly Brown. And y'all, I ate this book up. I read it in a day. I loved this book. It was so good. It was so good. I'm searching the internet for her other books because I'm like, I have to read them. As soon as I get the time, I'm gonna read her other books because her writing was so fun. I was giggling and kicking my feet the whole time. Channing, that man was saying some out-of-pocket stuff and I was like, sir, calm down. But don't calm down. This book follows this girl named Rhythm and she moved to LA with her man because he's a rapper. And he was like, baby, I want you to move out to LA with me. Like, we're gonna be big, we're gonna live it up. And she was like, you know, I love you, I'm gonna move out with you. She moved out there with him. She's an occupational therapist. She got her own little setup going on. And it's rumors around town that her man is cheating on her with this fellow rapper girl. And she's like, babe, are you cheating on me? And he's like, no, you tripping, you're insecure, blah, 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 whatever. And so it goes from there. But that's how the story starts off. And y'all, I'm gonna just read y'all one of the things he says because I have to. The stuff I won't read the quote anymore because it's a spoiler basically. But just know, like, you're gonna read the book and you're gonna be like, oh, I know this is the one she was talking about because Channing, sir. So yeah, I loved him. I ate him up. I ate that book up. It was so good. So good. If I would have had the time, I would have sat and read it in one sitting because that's how good it was. I ended up giving that book 4 out of 5 stars because it was really good, but then it started to get a little boring towards the end. It was like dragging a little bit and all that. All right, let's get to the point. But it was so good and I was giggling, I was kicking my feet, I was blushing, I was like so yeah, if you want a good urban romance book, then read Rhythms Blues, and I will be picking up more from that author because I was eating her words up. It's nothing like an urban romance for a Black woman. Those are all the books I read in the month of January. I feel like I had a really good reading month. I fell in love with new series, I met some new characters, I revisited some old characters, and I'm really excited to see what February brings based on how good January went for the reading. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.